Our MC, Kazuhito Harume, rushes to the nearest bookstore excited to read the latest copy of his favorite book. The librarian issues his point card and he returns to his apartment, which is shown to be practically overflowing with books. His entire family had shifted to Okayama due to his father's work. However, he lives separately because the release dates of new books are slightly delayed out in the country. His favorite author goes by the alias of Akiyama Shinobu and writes books in various genres. Moreover, Lust, the last volume of MC's favorite series, Deadly Sins, is yet to be released, and he can't die before reading it. MC sits peacefully reading Akiyama's latest work in a coffee shop when he checks his pockets, only to find his wallet missing. Suddenly, there is a commotion as a man points a shotgun at the salesman to rob his store. The robber turns his attention to MC and the girl sitting at the booth behind him and orders them to stand up. MC obeys immediately since he is frightened, but the girl furiously continues to scribble at whatever she is writing. The man persists, but she doesn't listen, so he aims toward her, but MC tackles him to protect her. He gets shot, and the robber kicks him away, only to shoot a bullet in his head, and MC dies on the spot as the girl remains unfazed and concentrated on nothing but her writing. MC views glimpses of his parents, sister, Madoka, cat Tama, and his apartment, where he sees the missing novel on his shelf. He struggles and opens his eyes to discover he has been reborn as a dachshund in a pet store. MC is more worried he hasn't read a book in a week than the fact that he is now a dog. Days pass, and he has read everything written in the store, so he is desperate to read some books. One day, the same girl enters the store whom MC had rescued. She tries to talk to the dog and seems to recognize him, so she wants to buy him. The owner refuses, so she draws a pair of sharp scissors, cuts through the metal cage, and takes him home. She ties MC upside down but surprisingly understands the dog's thoughts. She had heard his thoughts for the past few days and thus followed the sound to the store. The girl introduces herself as Natsuno Kirihime, and the two are still perplexed that they understand each other. Natsuno, being short-tempered, goes back to wanting to kill MC with her scissors, and he cries about his bad luck. When he mentions the robbery, she realizes he is the boy who saved her and decides to allow him to stay after ensuring he has no perverted thoughts toward her. He is suspicious of her sudden kindness, but forgets everything once she takes him to her apartment, which has shelves full of books. MC is shocked when she reveals she is his favorite author, and Akiyama Shinobu is just her pen name. He continues to live with her, and she also takes care of him. Natsuno is quite competent at other life skills like martial arts, but is obsessed with writing. One day, while watching television, he learns the robber who killed him has been identified as Nakahara Toji and is a wanted criminal. He sees footage of the reporter standing outside his house and misses his life, but more importantly, his bookstore points. Natsuno feels sorry to see him and takes him to his apartment the next day. Before they leave, Natsuno mocks MC by reading his mind and trying to convince him to wear a collar. They head outside and encounter the shop owner, who greets the dog in quite a friendly way. Natsuno dislikes his hair because he has an afro, which is difficult to cut with her scissors. A pink-haired girl is shown leaving a bakery with sweets for her mistress. Natsuno and MC continue to walk down the street when a pop idol with her troupe of paparazzi and security guards tries to get their attention. Natsuno ignores her and continues on her way. The idol is slightly shocked and reveals she has a score to settle with Natsuno. However, her bodyguards easily scoop her up and carry her away because it's time for her to work. MC is confused and asks Natsuno about her, but she casually says she didn't even notice anybody's presence. Finally, they arrive at his apartment building, which belonged to his distant relative. The place was being used as storage, and MC was allowed to live here in exchange for taking care of the place. So he turned room 102 into a library and lived in room 101. Natsuno is suspicious of the entire situation and enters room 102 using keys she had obtained from her sister, a policewoman. They go inside and find a newspaper from the day before, which confuses MC even more. Natsuno narrates that the thief had found MC's wallet at the crime scene and returned to his apartments, where he had been staying in room 101. The police and his parents had both retrieved his belongings from 102, but no one had checked the room next door since no one was documented living there. She dismisses it as just a story, but as soon as they leave, they find Toji standing outside the other room. Natsuno and MC chase after him, and she confronts him. Toji charges towards her and knocks her down after she fails to land a punch in his stomach. He holds up 2 volumes of her books, and she realizes he must have the rest hidden in his jacket. Moreover, he declares he cannot be caught before reading Lust, and MC resonates with him because he feels the same way. He also notices a change in Toji from their previous encounter, which appears after he reads Natsuno's work while hiding. He was skillfully able to adopt several fictional fighting styles written in her books. Natsuno uses her scissors to remove the hard volumes protecting him, and she knocks him onto the edge of the bridge. She presents MC with the opportunity to knock him off, finally gaining revenge by killing the man who ended his life. However, MC pulls him down and forgives him, so Natsuno offers to kill him instead since she feels guilty. He knocks her out of it, requesting her to stop blaming herself and continue writing. Later that night, as they walk home, she feels fond of MC and offers to cut his chest open as an expression of her love. Suddenly, he realizes they left the apartment unlocked and calls the books his children, which causes Natsuno to deliberate about making love with the dog. She chases after him as MC's sister is shown praying for him. MC has a dream of his sister Makoto waking him up for breakfast, or he'll be late for school. He refuses, so she threatens to burn the books in his room alphabetically, making him immediately get up. He then sees a jealous Natsuno attacking him with scissors for talking to another woman she doesn't know is his sister, and he wakes up. He finds a strange woman lying with her head down on the table at Natsuno's apartment and walks over to her. Suddenly, she gets up and claims to have found Tsuruginomyu, and MC thinks she can communicate with him too, but is disappointed. She believes he has been caged in the dog's body and tells him not to worry since Gangu, the Emperor of the Demons, will take over the spirit world. From his extensive knowledge after reading so many books, MC recalls that Tsuruginomyu was the demon king who ruled over the western part of the demon world. However, he had lost his standing in an uprising centuries ago and thus became the general of opposition. Natsuno arrives, and MC is shocked to discover that the woman, Suzuna Hiraji, is her editor. She believes she is in a slump even though she is still writing daily but isn't satisfied. Hiraji suggests taking a trip, changing her hairstyle, or getting chest enhancement surgery, which infuriates Natsuno, and she makes a slit in Hiraji's shirt. MC is shocked that she enjoys being cut by Natsuno's scissors and hopes to be cut weekly. He also notices that Natsuno might write better when incidents keep taking place around her since she had started writing Lust after their encounter with Toji. Just as Hiraji leaves, she tells them of a slasher in the nearby area and advises Natsuno to be careful. Next week, Hiraji is surprised to find Natsuno is still experiencing writer's block and narrates a piece of news to her from a magazine. A high school girl, an office lady, and a salaryman have each been attacked by the slasher with a sharp object. Natsuno tells Hiraji to act as bait so they can draw the attacker out. Even after being warned of the danger of being attacked and receiving abuse as a reward from Natsuno, she happily agrees. MC is worried for Hiraji, so Natsuno speaks to her sister, who forbids her from taking action on her own. Despite the warning, she continues her investigation and finds details about the victims from the owner of Honda Bookstore. She learns of one of the girls chased after with an Akiyama Shinobu book and is quite intrigued. Moreover, the office lady had been attacked just after purchasing books from the same author. On their way, they encounter a man whose colleague was assaulted by the slasher on his way home after reading an Akiyama Shinobu book in a cafe. They meet the pop idol Akuzaki Maxi once more, but Natsuno pays her no heed. MC finally recalls he has previously seen her on posters since she is among the 3 best-selling young authors along with Natsuno. She ignores the barricade and walks past, but Maxi triggers her and the two almost fight. However, Maxi is once more dragged away by her guards. Natsuno and MC find Gomes, the man she adopted the dog from, who has been attacked by the slasher. His afro has been cut off, and Natsuno runs after a suspicious person in the crowd. MC finds another of Ekiyama's books only to walk into a trap. He is shocked when he wakes up tied up in his apartment, kidnapped by his sister, who recognizes that the dog is her brother. Harumi Madoka is quite popular and does exceptionally well at school and sports, quite the opposite of her brother. She is also quite caring and takes good care of MC. Natsuno is still chasing after the mysterious man, but he slips away. However, he dropped one of her books from the Deadly Sin series. Madoka and MC are overjoyed to see each other, and for the first time, he has some hope of being saved from Natsuno's violence. He temporarily misunderstands that Madoka can hear his thoughts like Natsuno. Suddenly, she gets sad that her brother has passed away since he refused to move with them despite her insistence. She promises they are now going to be together forever and starts reciting wedding vows. Her obsession and strange behavior confuse MC, and he starts doubting if it's his sister. She thinks he might be hungry and starts to feed him her super spicy curry. However, she has forgotten the garnish and runs out to buy some. While she is out, Natsuno appears at the window and takes him home. She ties him up because she is jealous of him talking to another girl as he desperately tries to explain that Madoka is his sister. Finally, she sets him free and demands to know more about her sister-in-law, and MC calls her useless for letting the man she was chasing escape. He tries to think about who the culprit could be and suspects it might be Makoto since she baited him with one of Natsuno's books. However, he still hopes she is not the culprit, and Natsuno wants to make her pay for imprisoning her dog. The next day, Madoka was nowhere near his previous residence, Sumiya Apartments, and they resumed their investigation. Hiraji approaches them, and Natsuno scolds her for not failing to draw the slasher out. However, all her degradation seems to make Hiraji happier, and she excitedly claims she has found a valuable clue about the attacks being related to her books. Natsuno looks at her with a straight face since this information is useless, and they have failed to find the culprit so far. As she leaves, she informs them of a young girl who is crying as she cuts up one of her books, and the description perfectly matches Madoka. They make their way to the location told by Hiraji, where surely they find shredded paper. Shortly, Madoka arrives and demands that Natsuno should return her brother. MC tries to intervene but is told to get out of the way as he begs Natsuno to spare his sister. He offers she can cut him 28 times instead of Madoka, and she agrees. Natsuno holds up a charred piece of paper which Madoka recognizes, saying she had burned all the Ekiyama Shinobu books. Natsuno's thoughts seem to be confirmed as she and MC escape into a cloud of smoke and return to her apartment. She theorizes Madoka is behind the incidents and burned the books because she didn't want the author to steal her brother. MC was obsessed with books, and she might blame Akiyama's novels for being the reason he stayed away from them and eventually the reason for his death. Losing someone important to her might have caused a mental disturbance, growing hatred, jealousy, and a desire for revenge in hopes her brother might return. MC believes in his sister and doesn't think she is responsible for the crimes when she suddenly breaks in through the window and grabs him. Madoka had found her brother with the tracking device she had placed on him, and Natsuno revealed her true identity. Madoka confesses her hatred for the author and believes she made her brother crazy. She wants to spend more time with him and misses him so much that she believes he cannot really be dead. Natsuno presents her with a reality check of how her brother is now gone, and she must accept it despite her hatred and jealousy. She narrates the scene when she sees him die and Madoka crumbles to the floor. However, Natsuno assures her she believes in her readers and will continue writing for him, so his death will not be in vain. She also says her brother would disapprove of her current actions, but Madoka takes the dog and jumps out of the window she entered from. She sits in a park and gently apologizes to the dog for believing he is her brother since he is the only one who would fall for the book trap. Natsuno arrives, and Madoka wields her weapon, a giant knife she calls Tuna Eater and used to cook food for MC. Natsuno reveals her scissors and runs towards Madoka as the two fight. After a few failed strikes, Madoka activates genocide mode on her knife, which transforms it into a chainsaw, and she charges toward Natsuno. She cuts down several trees in the process, but Natsuno is unharmed as she dodges each blow. Her chainsaw gets stuck in a tree, and Natsuno uses the opportunity to cut her chainsaw, after which she breaks down crying. Seconds later, she activates Destroyer mode, unable to accept MC's death, and fires her weapon at Natsuno, who stops the explosive canister with just her finger. Madoka and MC stare in disbelief as the area around Natsuno blows up, and Madoka admits defeat. She decided to transfer to a high school in the area. Natsuno discusses her books with Madoka and realizes she is not the slasher. Later that night, MC confronts Hiraji because he believes she is responsible. Most of the information they gathered was based on rumors she spread, but Natsuno was unaware of it. She had overheard them talking about how Natsuno started working on lust after the robbery and created another incident to help her write again. MC discourages this, saying she should have faith in the author just like she does in her readers. However, Hiraji is unswayed and wonders what Natsuno would write if the dog died. She threatens him and is about to leave when Natsuno arrives and reveals hundreds of pages she has written after she punished MC the day before. She throws them in the air and orders Hiraji to collect them before they touch the ground as punishment for her actions. Natsuno claims she was able to get out of her slump with no help from the fake extent Hiraji had gone to help her. She steps on Hiraji, who has now collected all the pages, and warns her to stay out of her way. As further punishment, Natsuno says she is going to be nice to Hiraji, which she cannot tolerate. The next day, Natsuno bids farewell to Madoka at the train station and allows her to think of the dog as her real brother. MC once more thinks of the slasher case when Hiraji arrives and tells them she had already disposed of the real culprit before they even began their investigation. MC goes to Honda Bookstore to buy books for himself. This shop contains a wide variety of books he enjoys, but he notices punch marks on the wall while he waits for Sakura to fetch his books. He hopes to leave before she arrives, but is too late as a small girl, Sakura's younger sister, Yayoi, arrives and cuddles and tickles him. He returns home and informs Natsuno that Yayoi might be leaving town soon. She is jealous since he allowed another female to touch him, but he is deeply troubled since he won't be able to purchase books at the same bookstore anymore. He tells her how the old man who is the owner of the store is unreliable, but his daughter Sakura is quite competent. Natsuno is immediately jealous once more and threatens to cut his ears off as she agrees to hear his story about Honda Bookstore. Last spring, when he had newly moved to this town, he was supposed to meet his landlady, the manager of Sumiya Apartments. He had arrived an hour early and had already finished the book he had brought along. He set out in search of more books and discovered the Honda Bookstore, where he found a woman scolding Sakura for selling her a boring Akiyama Shinobu book. He cannot tolerate this and launches into a long lecture about the importance of books. However, once he finishes, he notices the woman is gone, and Sakura thanks him for standing up for her. Suddenly, her father arrives and attacks him, thinking he is troubling his daughter. After they explain the situation, he offers him free books as compensation, but is so impressed by MC's choice that he offers him a point card. MC keeps this as proof of their friendship and doesn't want the store to close. However, he finds Natsuno has dozed off during his narration. He visits the store, where he finds Yayoi crying as she scoops him up and runs out of the store. She tells him her sister refuses to listen to her, but she doesn't want the store to close, so she has come up with an idea. She makes MC wear a promotional hat and walks him all across town so more people would visit the shop. He encounters several girls who take pictures while cuddling him and post them online. Natsuno sees them all over social media and is furious. They come across Maxi again, who is shining brighter than ever. Her sparkle enchants Yayoi, and Maxi notices the bookstore flyer, after which she promises to help make it the most brilliant bookstore ever. However, this offends Yayoi, as she does not like the idea of her father's store being revamped. Another author, Hami, gives her friend Sakura a book she has written. Later that evening, MC is about to guide Yayoi home since she is sitting in the park but starts crying. He doesn't want to leave her alone like this, and Natsuno arrives right on time. She is furious with MC for cheating on her and decides to punish him later, but tries to convince Yayoi to return home for the time being. She is afraid Sakura is going to hate her, but Natsuno makes her believe otherwise, that she would be worried for her safety. Sakura assures them her father might not be great at business, but he would never close their store, and Yayoi had just misunderstood the situation. Their parents just had a slight disagreement about a small matter, and their family would not split up. Sakura hugs her younger sister, and Natsuno and MC walk home as she cunningly decides what punishment to give him as promised. Natsuno finds MC reading books about law and degrades him in her usual manner. She insists he helps her find her undergarments. Otherwise, she would make sure he ends up in his grave. She wants him to use his dog nose to sniff it out. However, he needs her scent. He gets close to her chest to sniff her, but she mistakes his actions, calls him perverted, and ties him up once again. Hiraji arrives and wants to be punished as badly as MC, but Natsuno sets him free as the three continue looking for her lost garments. MC ends up reading a book, but Natsuno snatches it away from him as he dictates the 7 sins related to books one must never commit. He hasn't even finished speaking when Natsuno aims a scissor toward him, and he moves back to dodge it. Accidentally, he crashes into a bookshelf, and a box topples down from the top of it. Inside, he finds magazine tips for chest enhancement, and Natsuno turns red with embarrassment. They decide to expand their search to the gym because Hiraji suspects Natsuno might have forgotten to put her underwear on after exercise. However, they have no such luck and are unable to find it. Instead, they create an even more awkward situation inside the girls' locker rooms with Natsuno calling MC dirty names. On the way back, they encounter Macho Munakata, so Natsuno and Hiraji join him for a workout while MC returns to the apartment to read in peace. While reading, MC is surprised to find her garments tangled in his blanket and recalls he had mistaken it for a blanket and dragged it to cover himself in the middle of the night. He is fearful of Natsuno's wrath and wonders how to tell her. MC is ashamed, so he hides her underwear in his bag and leaves to get rid of it where no one will ever find it. While he is outside, Yayoi finds him and wraps him in a hug. She goes through his bag, thinking he has purchased more books, but finds the underwear instead. She believes he has stolen it and that they should go to the police, but he yanks it away from her and runs away. Natsuno goes to look for her dog and asks Sakura if she's seen him, but doesn't learn any useful information. She gets the feeling she is being followed. MC quickly digs a hole to bury her garments since he can sense her getting close. Suddenly, he hears a maid, Sachi Moribe, singing about how a rich young girl has employed her. Even though she has a love for her mistress, she feels lonely and her sister mistreats her. She continues to sing and dance, but MC recognizes those are the words from a book, Revelations of a Servant, by renowned author Jaime Hagimomiji. MC sneezes and suddenly she becomes aware of his presence, turning red from embarrassment. She kills him and reveals her broom is a sharp sword. Natsuno can hear his thoughts as he runs from the crazed girl attacking him. During the chase, he finds himself on the main road about to be crushed under a truck when Natsuno saves him. She wields her scissors, and the two almost fight, but the maid goes to buy hot potatoes for her mistress, promising to fight her another day. Natsuno finds her underwear in MC's bag, but instead of being angry, she's embarrassed because it has a dog design on it. However, her shyness is short-lived as she is furious and threatens to kill him again, chasing him down the street. MC and Natsuno visit an inn, Blade Hall, but he has a hard time enjoying himself. They are welcomed by a small girl with pink hair who resembles MC's landlady a lot. However, Natsuno says she has been working here since she was a little girl. He inspects the books on the shelves, and Madoka arrives as well. Natsuno has invited her because she believes they are going to be sisters-in-law someday and should get to know each other better. They are escorted to Natsuno's scissor room, where they find a picture of Natsuno's childhood with her family. MC makes fun of her for being small-chested and earns another punishment. They notice the room only has one futon, but Natsuno is not troubled by this since she has reserved Madoka's knife room next door. However, MC is gravely mistaken that Natsuno might be romantically interested in females and finds himself the victim of her wrath once more. Madoka and Natsuno start fighting over who is going to keep the dog in their rooms, but quickly cool down and decide to go to the hot springs. There they encounter Sakura and Hami while MC finishes book after book. They all gather for dinner, where a strange sight awaits them as several masked people are hung from the ceiling. This includes Hiraji, and Natsuno is not pleased to see her. The real reason she has brought them here is to spend an overnight date with MC, but things don't seem to be going as she'd planned. A strange man spies on her from the window as they have dinner with the worst possible view. Later that night, she finds MC fast asleep on top of books, ruining her hopes for any sort of romance. The next day, she takes him to purchase whetstone in the town nearby while Madoka prepares curry for him. They first encounter Maxi and then Sachi before returning to the inn, where they find all the staff members acting strange. Natsuno goes to sharpen her scissors by the hot springs and strictly tells MC not to look at her since she will not be dressed. However, her meaning is quite the opposite, and she gets mad when he doesn't visit her. Instead, she finds Hiraji and Maxi in the springs, both trying to stay in hot water for the longest time to find a point of ecstasy beyond the pain. Meanwhile, inside the inn, MC finds the staff members wielding weapons and coming after him like zombies. However, they walk right past him and head toward the springs. He rushes to warn Natsuno, who is mad he took so long to come when the rest of them barge in. Natsuno admits she has fought off several stalkers before, which is why her blade had been dulled. Maxi tries to be the center of attention, but they ignore her as well and walk right up to Natsuno, attacking her with their swords and blades. She defends using just her scissors, and MC is desperate for any kind of help, but he knows Hiraji and Maxi are both useless. He tries to buy her some time while she finishes sharpening her scissors. Madoka arrives with a new chainsaw she has found in storage to protect her brother. Natsuno joins them but explodes with rage and defeats everyone when they step on her guidebook that she was following to spend the vacation with her dog. The next day, the inn is closed, and the staff members don't recall anything about the night before. Natsuno is determined to return to complete her holiday, but this time only with her dog. Natsuno and MC purchase a new book, Celestial Romance, from Honda Bookstore that he wanted to read at the inn, but didn't get the chance to. Natsuno has been attacked several times since their return. When they return to their apartment, MC notices there is one extra book in her collection. It is the same one as they have just bought, and they are suspicious the stalker might have left it behind, so they decide to read it together. He finishes reading before her, surprisingly finds himself attracted to her for the first time, and jumps toward her. However, she swats him away, and he lands in the trash can. Natsuno notices that the author of the book, Uzumaki Hotaru, is an amateur author, and the book is too well written for her standard. It seems to her that an established author had rewritten and published the book in her style. Moreover, the writing style is very similar to Akiyama. Since Hiraji is an editor, they ask her about Hotaru and learn quite a lot about her, except her real name and that she is the daughter of Osawa Shuzan, the tiger of historical novels. Hiraji also reveals a rumor about how she used her father's influence to make her debut. Natsuno and MC visit her home in the same neighborhood as his previous high school. They arrive at their destination, which is an abandoned warehouse where MC used to come to read books peacefully. Once inside, Natsuno realizes they are once more surrounded like they were at the inn, and she launches the dog at the enemies. He gets knocked out, wakes up, and finds all the people defeated. They finally encounter the man who has been stalking her, and it is none other than Osawa Shuzan. Initially, he is quite arrogant, but this is soon gone when she ties him to her ropes and kicks him. He explains he had sneaked into her room and placed the book there since the president of the security company is his friend. He had done this because his daughter had wanted Natsuno to have her book. However, he had gone to such an extent because he didn't like the influence she had on his daughter and just wanted her to stay away. Natsuno lets him down and suspects that Hotaru is behind the attacks, but he admits he is also responsible for them. Osawa tells Natsuno that Hotaru wants to meet her, and she agrees. They meet at the chosen location, MC's high school, and decide to split up. Natsuno is confident she would be able to handle any oncoming mob attacks with her scissors, even though MC tells her to use her words first before cutting people up with scissors. As expected, MC heads to the library on his own. He remembers it just as it was during his school days and refreshes his memories. He walks to a shelf and removes a few particular books to reveal Haimi's manuscript, The Forest of Kozu. Suddenly, he finds Hami standing in the doorway and welcomes him using his real name. He realizes she is Osawa Hami, a Uzumaki Hotaru, and is shocked she also seems to know his true identity. Then a flashback from when he was alive is shown. MC finds Hami's novel manuscript lying on the table and he starts reading it. But he instead finds Hinami under the table and it turns out she's the one who wrote it. MC then encourages her to finish the novel so he can read more. She hands him the rest and he speed reads through it. MC notices Akiyama far too influences her and her work is just an inferior copy. Hami wants to unalive herself, but he assures her it is interesting. He also identifies that someone so interested in Akiyama could never be satisfied with that work and wants her to finish the novel. Hami writes more, and she and MC hide it behind Akiyama's novels in the library since she is too shy about submitting them to a new writers' competition. She doesn't want to impose on anyone or waste their time by making them read her books. However, he can convince her otherwise, and she wants him to be her first reader after her manuscript is complete, and she becomes an author. In the present, Hami explains to MC that her pen name Uzumaki Hotaru is an anagram of his name. She had discovered his identity when her friend Sakura told her about a dog who would come to buy books every day, and she immediately thought of him. She didn't actually believe him until she saw him find the hidden manuscript since no one else knew its whereabouts. However, she admits she feels guilty about using her father's influence and copying Akiyama's writing style to become an author and feels like a fake. For this purpose, she says she must kill the real author and confronts Natsuno on the rooftop. Natsuno is furious and attacks with scissors, but Hami suggests they settle their differences like true authors with a writing contest. The rules are simple since each author must write a short story of 100 pages, and the first one to finish wins. Both of them start writing furiously, but Natsuno is faster. Hami uses several Osawa-style writing techniques she has learned from her father, such as writing with both hands and even trying to distract Natsuno. However, Natsuno successfully resists the effect of all such skills used against her and is almost about to finish. Suddenly, Hami asks her if she has read her book, Celestial Romance, and Natsuno says it wasn't bad. Hami had deviously scattered some keywords in the book that would subconsciously turn the readers against Natsuno. It doesn't work on Sakura or her father, but this time, Natsuno turns on herself as she holds her hand, attacking her with the same scissors, and Hami continues to write, promising MC to finish the remaining manuscript. Natsuno is determined, grabs the pen in her mouth, and continues to write as she wins the competition despite Hami's cheating tactics. Hami will unalive, but MC and Natsuno stop her and assure her she won the author's award for her hard work and that she should continue to write. Natsuno also asks about her unfinished manuscript and asks to read it once it's complete, but MC is surprised to see her act nice. Hami and Natsuno start writing together, and Natsuno tries Hami's trick of influencing the reader's subconscious in her new novel, which MC is reading to pull him away from his books and toward herself. Sachi is shown on a ship, and Maxi prepares for a covert operation. Madoka has just finished her entrance exams and is staying with Natsuno for the time being. To express her gratitude, she wants to make curry and head into the kitchen with her tuna eater type 0 from the inn. Natsuno and MC follow her, anxious that she is going to make another one of her inedible curries. However, he is impressed when he smells the aroma, thinks she has grown a lot as a chef, and will happily eat whatever she prepares. He climbs a stool and glances into the pot only to learn it is blue, and is immediately disgusted. MC runs away to Honda bookstore to escape the awful curry, but finds himself trapped by Yayoi, who claims she is just giving him a massage. He notices several people walk into the store and find specific books that they have been looking for. The pet shop owner sees an introduction to Afros, and the people from the gym find their books as well that Sakura has specially arranged for them. Hiraji walks in next, and Sakura hands her the order of books she had placed. MC feels proud of Sakura for working so hard when Damien, Maxi's bodyguard, suddenly enters the store. He asks to purchase all of Akiyama Shinobu and Jaime Himomoji's books. This shocks MC, and he runs out of the store and finds his previous landlady and the owner of Blade Hall walking past. Their striking resemblance confuses him once more, making him believe they are doppelgangers. MC follows them and comes across Sachi singing and dancing in a park once more. He tries to pass in silence but fails as she wields her zapper of destruction and starts attacking him. He keeps dodging, but Natsuno arrives just in time to rescue him. She fights back, and their blades clash. Sachi claims she has endured much worse than this and will surely defeat them. Suddenly, a helicopter flies overhead and Maxi appears, challenging Natsuno to a 9-tower story writing competition to decide who is the best author. This contest is one of the most difficult as contestants must write 9 short stories to be evaluated by 9 judges whom Maxi has already prepared. Suddenly, Sachi charges toward Maxi, defeating all her guards and climbing up the tower. She claims the greatest author is his mistress, Jaime Hagi Momiji, so Maxi allows her to participate as Jaime Hagi's representative. The contest begins, and Maxi and Natsuno face each other first. However, the contest is interrupted as Daimon brings her back to work, and they fly off in her helicopter. Sachi leaves to go shopping and returns home to her mistress. Natsuno and MC are at the Honda bookstore when Hami enters and greets them. She tells Sakura she is going to start afresh and become an author, and Natsuno realizes she has made a very important decision. Madoka arrives and tells Hami she will be going to the same high school as her. Even though her parents were quite opposed to her moving on her own, she had decided that she wanted to do this for her brother and live life to the fullest. MC is proud to see all of them have grown in their own way and are moving forward with their lives. Later that night, Madoka presents her brother with a multicolored curry which he is forced to eat just for her sake. The next morning, Hiraji arrives at their apartment, complaining that Natsuno has been ignoring her. Natsuno is busy writing and tells MC to ignore her as well, using Morse code. She says she wants to talk about Natsuno's future plans. MC asks her why Natsuno has to hide her identity, and Hiraji explains it is because she debuted while she was quite young, and being a female author might change her readers' opinions. Haigari believes it is time Natsuno should reveal her true identity, as the exposure might help her finish the series' final volume. Hiraji has come prepared with outfits for Natsuno's first book signing as well and uses her editor techniques to help her try them on while she is still writing. She finally decides on an outfit, and Madoka arrives with some curry which she claims is her brother's favorite. Hiraji also makes Madoka try on the costumes, and she has fun. Hami arrives wanting to speak to Natsuno, but she seems busy, so Hami wants to kill herself for disturbing them. However, soon she too starts trying on the several outfits that Haigari has brought. Hami and Madoka go to the Honda bookstore and Natsuno finally loses it over Haigari's constant disturbance and punishes her. Haigari is unfazed and reveals a bottle of alcohol, secretly hoping it will make Natsuno violent, so she'll punish her more. She adds some to her cup and takes a sip. MC is afraid this will be the death of them, but Natsuno gets up and snuggles him in her arms. He feels disgusted since she's being so nice to both of them and politely asks to let her finish the manuscript she is working on. Hiraji offers her some more, hoping she will go on a rampage, but Natsuno's mood keeps improving. She hugs her dog once more, but hears his thoughts about her small chest size. She immediately feels insecure and apologizes. He assures her not to worry, and she mistakes this for a wedding proposal, after which she starts imagining her wedding to her dog. She pictures herself in a white gown with everyone present and also dreams of Madoka finally calling her sister. She lets her imagination wander and reveals she had decided long ago their honeymoon would be in Hawaii, as she thinks of basking in the hot sun at the beach. Her friends are also at the beach and admire her and MC, calling them a beautiful couple. MC lies in her lap, desperately waiting for her to return to her normal self. However, she doesn't stop here and continues daydreaming about drinking romantic drinks, racing down the beach with her dog husband, and enjoying a Hawaiian dance. Suddenly, the Hawaii dream ends, and she starts fantasizing about their home and children. By the time it is night, MC is tired of her. He gets shocked when she carries him to her bed and pins him down. He is afraid she might make romantic advances on him, but instead she throws up in his face. The next day, Natsuno returns to work as usual and complains about her dog smelling like vomit. She tells him he is unpleasant and should leave for a month, to which he responds he likes the nicer version of her. She picks him up and offers to bathe and clean him up.